I got my handy coaster here. How do you like that? All right, welcome aboard, my friends. I'm in a bad mood. I was telling Mateo and Zeke here. It's Valentine's Day. I would love to say Happy Valentine's Day, and but there was a shooting in Kansas City, so I'm very upset about that. One person died, and hopefully no more died. By the time this all comes out, we'll know. And it's unfortunate. I did do a couple podcasts about gun control, and my theory is that we should no longer debate gun control because it's never going to be controlled in America. Okay? The Second Amendment, there's already too many guns. There's millions of guns in population. And it's one of those things, it would be almost impossible to get even 48 states to agree on gun control, right? Right? I mean, that's impossible. So why even talk about it? And if we do get 48 states to agree, then 2 states, let's say, don't. And then it's one of those things when I call, okay, you can pee on this side of the pool, right? What do you think about that, Zeke, right? If you pee on this side of the pool, the other 48 states of the pool, right? Are they going to be affected by it? Yeah, especially freaking me and Zeke are peeing everywhere, right? So it doesn't really help. So that, and I just, and then with ghost guns, those are impossible to regulate. And even if it was possible, you got these, the NRA, the Second Amendment rights, and they lobby a lot of money. And I said it on my podcast, there's only one place you could be safe in the United States of America, and that's in a courthouse. You know why? Because you're not allowed to have guns in the courthouse. So you could go to a hearing where the judge is saying, oh, no, this law is unconstitutional because it's safer to have guns everywhere. And, good guy with a gun, right? Okay, so it's safer. And that's the only place you could be 100% safe because there's not going to be guns there because the judge won't allow it. All right, so interesting stuff. Anyhow, okay, so I'm in a bad mood, but I'm going to try to cheer up throughout the course of this conversation. However, we're going to be talking about a case that I really freaking hate, all right? This thing, there's so much corruption in the state of New York that I just don't understand it. And I've said this over and over, this criminal prosecution against Trump, this particular one, is so stupid and such a big waste of money that it's unreal to me what is going on. And then, as always, to make matters worse, we're not going to be able to see anything in this trial. It's all these stupid cartoons that we could see. What good is this? Can you tell me what good this is? I'll tell you what good this is. This is no good. Can I throw this at the camera? No, right at the camera. Let's see if I can get a no good. Oh, dang it. It's nugget. All right. It's all a bunch of nonsense. The judge knows it. And it's because of the corruption and the nonsense of this all that the judge won't allow videos in the courtroom. And that's why. Because videos are allowed in the courtroom. We saw that stupid Johnny Depp trial. Do you remember that trial? Right? Was it televised? Right? That the shooter in Michigan, that Crumbly kid and his mom and dad. That's all televised, right? O.J. Simpson was televised. The freaking Nuremberg trials were televised, right? So all of those are televised. Why is our former president being tried in the state of New York in a criminal case? This is things that, like, going to law school and after law school, I can't imagine happening. And if it ever did happen, I would imagine that the whole country has to stop and watch this. Do you know what I'm saying? But instead, you got this fuckhead judge, all right, that doesn't allow it. Do we need to cut out the F word? Because I hear, YouTube, Spotify, they like downgrade everything if there's the F word. But what am I supposed to do? The judge is a fuckhead, right? I don't know how to stop that. All right, maybe we'll talk about that later, Zeke. All right, so this is the whole case. There is a big criminal case against the former president. And again, I am just interested in the law and how the law works and trying to teach you the law. I don't care about the former president, Trump. I don't hate him. I don't like him. I just don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just explaining this legal issue. And especially when the federal government and the state government is spending millions of dollars on this and it's affecting our whole country, it's worth talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So when Donald Trump announced that he would run for president, it was 2015. He said, I'm going to run for president of the United States. Did I do that? Okay. I'm working on it. I'm going to run for president. All right. So when he made that announcement, a lot of former girlfriends, former lovers, I don't know what you call them, came out and said, oh, this happened in the past, that happened in the past. All right. And there was a time when they said, okay, well, it might be bad for his public image, and Donald Trump also said it's also potentially bad for my marriage for all these girls to come out and say that I had sex with them. And it might be bad because it might embarrass my kids, things like that. So around that time, 2015 and 2016, and then the election was in November of 2016, there was a effort by Donald Trump and his crew to try to mitigate the stories that come out about his former sex life. You know what I'm saying? I think he should have just been like, hey, I'm freaking rich. I'm going to be president. And I was, hooking up with, you know what I'm saying? Like, but instead, no. They said, no, don't do that. That might ruin your image. So let's keep all this thing on the DL. Do you know what DL stands for, Mateo? The down low. I have to explain things like that for Zeke, All right? It means down low. It means things that we don't want the public to know about, Zeke. All right? So they want to keep this on the down low. Then there was one story. There was a doorman. This one is a funny one, I think. This doorman was going around like telling these rumors. Oh, Donald Trump had a kid out of wedlock, and then a company paid that doorman $30,000 for the story. But when they investigated, it turns out like the guy was like full of nonsense. So they were going to, tell him, hey, go tell the story to whoever you want because it's obvious nonsense. But then the Donald Trump team with his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, and all the other people, they did want that story to stay hushed, because even though it was an obvious nonsense story, they just didn't want it to go out. So they agreed to pay $30,000. Then a woman came out, and I didn't even want to look her up because I did it before, and it's just so dumb and so irrelevant, I think. She had an affair with Donald Trump a long time ago and wanted to come out with the story. So long story short, they paid her $150,000 so that she doesn't tell the story. Okay. What do you think, Mateo? Mateo would have done it for a lot cheaper, right? Okay. So they paid her $150,000, and the way they did it is that instead of Donald Trump writing a check for $150,000, his lawyer paid her, and then they had an agreement that they would, that Donald Trump would pay his lawyer back. Then the third one, and this one I know all these stories, and this one is the famous Stormy Daniels story. So she wanted to come out and talk about, she had some sort of fling or affair, or she did something where she like spanked him on the butt or something a few times. I don't know if it was once or twice or three. Mateo would know. How many times did she spank him in the butt? Yeah. You have no idea, Kim. This guy is like sweating bullets here. He knows. He's freaking lived it. Okay, so she spanked him in the butt a few times. They may or may not have sex. I don't know. I wasn't there. Hey, see, wouldn't a video be better than a cartoon sketch of that? Anyway, maybe not. So listen. So then they had whatever the fudge they had, right? And then eventually they paid her $130,000 so she could keep quiet about this, which obviously didn't work. Right now, we all talking about it. Or maybe there was other ones that we don't know about that did stay quiet. Who knows? Who cares, right? So they paid her $130,000. So far, everything I have said is 100% legal, and not the dumb prosecutor in New York. This guy right here, that guy. I don't even want him on my podcast. Okay, get that guy out of here. No more of that jerk on my podcast. All right. Even he would agree it's 100% legal to pay people off so they don't talk about former affairs. So, all right, cool. Now we get into what the New York prosecutor is saying is illegal. And what I'm about to tell you, and this is 34 criminal counts. All right. And this is, just bear with me here because this is the stupidity. Ew, I'm so angry. I'm in a bad mood. Okay. The stupidity. Did I say that right this time? Because I'm just angry. Of all of this is just beyond, like, I have to say this slowly so you understand it, like, so that I could like not laugh while I talk about it or think that I'm just lying. So they paid the two ladies $280,000, and then potentially the doorman $30,000. So let's say 310,000. But the trick here is that Donald Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid that. So he paid them off that money. And then what they worked out between themselves is like, okay, so I'll pay, 280,000. I think the other 30,000 was already paid off. So the 280 was kind of the one that they had to then pay. So Michael Cohen made a deal. So I'll pay the $280,000 and then just pay me back. And then the way you could pay me back, instead of paying me all of that, add a little bit of money because of all this work and pay me $420,000. They even said the reason why he's going to be paying Michael Cohen more is because Michael Cohen wasn't going to deduct on his taxes what he paid the, Stormy Daniels and the other girl, but he has to claim on his taxes the money he's getting from Donald Trump. So he has an income tax thing. So he's like, just give me a little bit more to make up for that. Okay, cool. All of this is still legal. Okay. So he pays him $420,000, but instead of paying $420,000 in one check, they agreed to do it over 12 payments. That's kind of cool.
And if these prices sound incredible, they are.
35 grand each, and maybe the last one would be an extra 10,000 or something. So they were going to pay it off in 12 payments. And then they, that's it. Okay. The 12 payments. So eventually Donald Trump considered that $420,000 as deductible money because he's paying it to his lawyer. So he's reducing it on his income tax as an expense because he's paying it, to legal fees. When in reality, it wasn't really legal fees. It was payments to the stripper and that other woman. And that's one of the things they're saying. Well, they considered it a business write-off when it shouldn't have been. Do you understand what I'm saying? Paying off or whatever. Okay. So that's, and they considered, they did this to help his campaign for presidency. Are you with me? So listen to this. This is honest to God what the New York prosecutor is saying. So all of this, they're doing it to help the campaign. So therefore, that money, the $280,000 to the stripper and the other woman, that money should have been considered a campaign donation because it helped his campaign. Did they consider it a campaign donation? No. All right. I mean, I think campaign donations, campaign payments are would be good for things like if he's going to a rally, if he's putting a commercial out on during the freaking, whatever, if they rent an ad on Pornhub, right, Zeke? Zeke's insurance business is very popular that way, huh, Zeke? Right? All right. Wait, can we keep that part in? All right. We'll let Zeke decide later. So anyhow, all of this was then, they didn't consider it a campaign donation, which is funny because I think that's proper. So what the New York prosecutor's claiming is, well, because it helped the campaign, then it should have been considered that $280,000 that Michael Cohen paid off to the two ladies, that should have been considered a campaign donation, and then the campaign paid them off, which is nuts. It's freaking nuts. Can you imagine what would have happened if Donald Trump, from the money that he received from people, and then on the ledger it said $130,000 payment to shut Stormy Daniels up, $150,000 payment to shut up this other woman about affair. And all of that came from campaign contributions. Are you with me? What would the public have said? That's freaking crazy, right? And that's what this prosecutor is arguing. The prosecutor is arguing that, well, he should have taken that money from the campaign for presidency. He should have taken it there. But instead, he took it from a friend and he didn't consider it a campaign contribution. And that's illegal. All right. Then, sorry, I'm going to try to chill out. Okay. The FBI gets involved. All right. The FBI, all right, gets involved. and they storm, no pun intended, they storm the lawyer's office in his house to get all this evidence about this. And then this lawyer secretly recorded conversations with Donald Trump about how they're going to do these payouts. Isn't that crazy? You know, you would think there's an attorney-client privilege thing going on here, but no, apparently not. And that's going to be a whole litigated issue about whether or not that evidence is admissible. It doesn't really matter because later the lawyer ratted him out in the sense that he, you know, agreed to all this, and then the accountant agreed to all this. So I guess it doesn't really matter if it's admissible or not because that evidence will come in anyway about these payments. The reason why I painstakingly explained the payment plan, okay, you remember that? I painstakingly explained the payment plan, right, is because of the following. Now, the prosecutor in New York, I'm not going to bring his picture back, okay? Make sure we don't bring that jerk back here because he's a freaking idiot, all right? He, instead of charging Donald Trump with, let's say, 2 counts, one being you falsely declared this as a business expense, and 2, you didn't use campaign funds to pay this, right? Okay, that's 2 things he did wrong. Are you with me? How does he go from 2 things he did wrong to 34 things he did wrong? Everyone with me here? Now, some prosecutors, especially the ones that don't know what they're doing, love to stack these counts. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go over the indictment. Now, this indictment, by the way, some of you may remember, this was the first one, and Donald Trump went to New York City and had to plead not guilty to this, and he had to show up physically in court. Oh, why didn't the judge just let him freaking write in a thing, right? I mean, the freaking judge doesn't need video and stuff, right? Or it thinks that American, hey, judge, here you go, dickhead. Not guilty. Wouldn't that have been enough for the judge? I mean, why not, right? We can't watch the videos. Why does he have to have the people there? Anyway, all right. So there you go. So the 34 counts go like this. I hope you all chilling here. All right, here we go. Count number 1, that Donald Trump made this false entry. And that being that this, was a campaign contribution and not a business expense. Okay, that's count 1. Count 2, in this intent to defraud everybody, blah, 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 there was a voucher number 842456, whatever the fudge, and kept and maintained. So that second count is this. When he wrote, say that when that invoice came in for $420,000, then they recorded it in the ledger. So that recordation in the ledger, he's saying, was a separate count. You with me? Count number 3. The next voucher in the ledger is voucher number 842460. That is count 3. Count 4, there is a check written for check number 00138. And that was another count. What was going on here? Count 5. There was a invoice dated February 12, 2017. February 16, 2017. And that was entered into the ledger. Am I boring you yet? I hope I am, because this is what the prosecutor is doing and spending millions of dollars. Count 6. There was then a voucher that was entered into the ledger, number 846907. So what is going on here goes like this. All right. So how many payments were there to pay back the $420,000? 12 payments, right? So every time you have a payment, right, there's an invoice, and there's going to be 12 of them. So for example, there's one count that just has the invoice because it was a fraudulent invoice. Then Donald Trump's accountant enters that invoice into the ledger, and just that entry is a different count. Okay, then they write a check for that amount, correct? And that check is another fraudulent count. Are you with me? All right, so what did we just do? We just had 3 counts for the first payment. All right, I hope you folks have a lot of time, because the second payment, same thing happened. There was an invoice, right? What was that? Count number 4. Then that invoice was then recorded in the ledger. right? And then there was a check that was dispersed. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counts. We've gone through 2 payments. Then there was a 3rd payment. All right. Is there a way we could like repeat? Hey, I remember, Zeke, remember when we were kids, we would learn that Mac. Well, not Mac. It was like DOS. It would say 10. Zeke is awesome. 20. Go to 10. And then it would just, you know what I'm talking about? Remember the good old days? This guy looking at us like, huh? Was that in Tecmo Bowl? Did you play Tecmo Bowl as a kid? Or that was before your time, Mateo? Oh my God, freaking Mateo. I think last week I saw him playing with freaking like a doll or something. This guy is a young kid. How old? I don't even know how old you are. Right? All right, we're old. But anyway, that's all they're doing here. And then this is, let's say, 6 counts. Then the 3rd payment. Are you guys excited about this 3rd payment? There was an invoice that the lawyer sent. The invoice was later recorded in a ledger, and then there was a check dispersed. So that's 3 more counts. Let's go to the 4th payment, so on and so forth, right? And we get 35 counts that way. Speaking of counts, I think I stopped counting. I think maybe the 12th payment, it was there was one check that was made for both months. So I think that's why the prosecutor had less. Was it 30? Hang on. So that's why he only got to like 34 or 35 counts. This would be 34 counts. This would, so that's it. That's why instead of just saying he did he falsely entered all of this as a business expense and it should have been a campaign contribution. Instead of maybe 2 counts, he stretched it into 34. This would be the same thing as, let's say I don't ever do this. I don't recommend this. I go drinking and driving one night. It would be like prosecutor saying, Joe Samo was drinking and driving on Highway 8, then pulled over, got a freaking soda pop or more beer, whatever, right? And then went drinking and driving on Highway 163. That's 2 counts. Then he made a left turn on Friars and he was drinking and driving. That's a 3rd count. Like, come on. That's going to be another litigated issue. And it looks to me that it's all in the same, kind of process. So it's more or less all the same way. So let me tell you how all of this sort of plays out, or is supposed to play out. So the indictment came, and then Donald Trump was arrested over this. And then in his arrest, he did an arraignment. This was last April of 2023. Okay. He did an arraignment. In that arraignment, he pleaded not guilty. Did you watch that? Did you guys watch that? No, you didn't. You know why? Nobody could watch it. All right. Anyway, we have the President of the United States saying to the court, I am not guilty. Right? And we can't watch it. Okay. Then there's certain hearings since then, things about different evidentiary issues. There's supposed to be a hearing this coming week about when to have the trial. I used to love saying to my wife, hey, I'm going to court. Or I didn't love saying, but I'm like, oh, I got court tomorrow. And she's like, oh, is it a trial? I go, no. She's like, well, what is it about? It's a hearing to decide when we're going to have the hearing. All right. Schedule it. And she's like, so you're going to have a hearing to decide when's the trial? No, wait, dude, let's not get carried away. It's a hearing to decide when we're going to have the hearing to decide when we're going to have the trial. That's what us lawyers love doing. So anyhow, so all of that will not be televised, even though there's hearings about this case. And then ultimately, the judge in this case has not dismissed the charges. Instead, he's allowing this to proceed. He could always change his mind. But he hasn't yet, right? I guess he could if he was smart, but he hasn't yet. So what they could do ultimately is that they'll set this for a trial. Now, this is going to be problematic because in November, there's a presidential election, right? So I say, why not, dude? Just have it the day of the election. Like, at this point, like, who cares, Just do it, Judge. It's not like anyone's going to watch it and criticize you, so you might as well let the corruption grow. Why not? But no, so the judge will have to make that trial. So it's kind of the judge has to either have it right away, meaning in May or April, or he has to have it next year. which would be crazy because if Trump wins the election, can you imagine that? There's a criminal trial in the state court that nobody could watch over the sitting president if he wins the election, then over this thing where it's like, hey, you should have paid that stripper with campaign contributions from the people that wanted you to become president. That's the money you should have used to pay the stripper, not your own money. Did I just say that? That's what the prosecutor in New York is saying. He's saying, how dare you pay that stripper with your own money? You should have paid her with the money that the American people entrusted in you to run for presidency. And had you done that, then you would be in less trouble today. Right? Isn't that crazy? I can't. The red, white, and blue. All right, my friends, I would love to hear what you think about this. And just put aside, you like Donald Trump, you don't like Donald Trump, who cares? I'm just so excited to hear what you think about our judicial system at work in this particular case. Love you all. Stay safe. See you next week.